Going to the very beginning of this episode, I was very pleased with where we were going after episode 4, and I was happy to see where we would be going moving forward. We had been hearing for a while, there's this character, this mysterious character from The Walking Dead that's supposed to be making their appearance in either episode 5 or episode 6. And so people were theorizing, is this going to be Morgan? Is this going to be a character, Silas, from The World Beyond? Is it just Jadis that's going to be appearing to Rick and Michonne? And turns out it's going to be Father Gabriel, which for me, that kind of comes out of nowhere, but it also really makes sense for what this episode is trying to do. And it's these flashback moments with Jadis and Father Gabriel, because they had a relationship at the beginning of season 9 in those 5 episodes that Rick was in. And then as he was leaving, Jadis leaves with him, and that abruptly ends their relationship with each other. And it was really interesting to see this wariness that Gabriel has for Jadis, because remember, she tried to trade him to the CRM before Rick, and it didn't happen. She ended up trading Rick instead. And so it was really cool to see him back, because it feels like classic Walking Dead again. We're in the woods, we're fighting walkers, we come across other survivors, and we have other characters from the main show, other than Rick and Michonne and Jadis. Now you got Father Gabriel in the mix here. And he kind of gives you an insight on what's been going on in Rick's time away. As someone who had left the show, anytime Gabriel was giving us an insight on what was going on in Alexandria, what was going on with other groups, I was kind of put in Jadis's position almost, of someone who didn't know what was going on with the main group. Now I'm getting filled in, so that was nice. Coming at it from that perspective, it's different coming at it from that perspective. That was really cool. And I love seeing how Gabriel was affecting Jadis, or Anne, if you want to call her that, because Anne is her real name, and she's trying to get away. There's conflict in her in this episode. She's really trying to get away from this Anne character, and you see the conflict in her as Gabriel is talking to her, and you see that he doesn't really hold any harsh feelings towards her. There's a couple times, as they meet annually for this 3-year period. So, there's a little bit of some disdain for Anne, for Jadis from moment to moment, but then he always comes back around. He's like, forgive me, I'm sorry, I don't know where you're coming from here. He has faith in her in the end. He really has faith in her, and it's that faith that will really make the change later in the episode for how she's going to kind of come around and come to some form of redemption at the end of the episode when she's confronted by Rick and Michonne. The episode as a whole, focusing on Rick and Michonne, that aspect of it, there's not a whole lot to talk about there. They're on the road, they're going back to Alexandria, because as far as they know, the CRM believes they're dead, so nobody should be coming after them, nobody should be looking for them, and they're as confident as ever that they're going to get back. It's in these happy moments, you're like, well, this is the world of The Walking Dead. It can't continue like this forever. It certainly doesn't. They get interrupted by a group of survivors, which they easily take out. They come across Jadis, and Jadis uses them to her advantage. She talks them into coming to the CRM after she's attacked by Rick and Michonne, and uses them. They all come to their downfall. This is one of the weakest group of survivors I have seen in the entire series of The Walking Dead, and so it's actually surprising that they've made it 10, 11 years into the apocalypse, however far we are. It's kind of surprising that they've made it this far. My only guess is that they had a larger group with them at one point, and they were really the ones that were keeping them alive. They fall really easy here, but they got pretty far into it all. But going back to Rick and Michonne on their journey, they come across this cabin they're going to spend the night in. They found the noodles earlier. They're just enjoying their company with each other. They're enjoying the fact that they found each other again. And Michonne has found Rick. Not just Rick as he was in the first episode, but Rick as we knew him in The Walking Dead, in the main show. So she was able to dig that person out. In episode 4, everything came to a head. They had to figure out how they were going to get past all the trauma that Rick was going through and all the expectations that Michonne had for meeting up with Rick again. And they got past that. They're at a great spot together, great place in their relationship now. And so it's going a little too easy. And I'll honestly say right here, I really like this episode, but I think one of the dumbest things of this episode, they left a trail of noodle wrappers all the way down the highway. That's how Jadis found them. They were just throwing the stuff all the way down the road. I was thinking maybe Rick had some kind of tracker in his fake arm that the CRM put in there or something like that. No, it's just that Rick just threw trash out the window, and that's how Jadis found him. I would have preferred another way that they had gone about it. That aside, I think the episode as a whole was really good, really solid, and we knew that they weren't going to be making it back to Alexandria. They're going back to the CRM after this, after their conflict with Jadis, and after Jadis gives Rick and Michonne all the information they need. Rick is going to get the echelon briefing if he goes back to the CRM, and they also have to go back because with Jadis's death, there's the file that will tell the CRM about Alexandria and everybody that Rick and Michonne loves and cares for. She lets them know about where that file is, so they know that they now have to go back to get that file, and also for Rick to get the echelon briefing so that he knows the full scale and scope of what the CRM is doing. And so let's cut to that aspect of it. Let's cut to that part. What is the echelon briefing? Because we were told about it in the first episode. It obviously shaped Pearl Thorne when she got the echelon briefing. It seems like she wasn't so sure about the CRM, but when she was given that briefing, it really shaped her perspective. You can see she has a different outlook on the CRM at that point. That was really interesting to see, like, what is this thing that Okafor said? I think about 10% of the military knows and 0% of the city knows what the echelon briefing is. It's like the full scale and scope of what the CRM is up to, and I have a few theories about that. One is that the echelon briefing is going to explain the CRM. I think they are threatened by the other cities. They had 2 other cities, and one has already fallen, so now there's 2 of them instead of 3 of them. I think their plan is to take out that other city so that the Philadelphia base can be the one that's completely in control. And another theory with the chlorine gas, I heard this tossed around already online, but maybe they're trying to both kill the living and the dead. So this gas maybe can completely eliminate all the walkers, and in doing so, it could also eliminate anybody who's still living out there, so they can control the population outside of their walls. And I think that might be what their ultimate goal is. I actually think that's the most realistic thing here. That's what I think is actually going to be happening here. So taking out the other CRM city and then taking out anybody that's outside of their walls, both walkers and anyone who's living. That's what I think their ultimate goal is. Another theory is that the CRM, they were the ones who created the walker virus and are the only ones who have the cure to it as well. And I think they may have possibly created this virus so that they could control over the world. And maybe it was a case of, we have to bring the world down so that we can be the ones that can rise to power. And you realize the CRM was operating very quickly after the fall of civilization. I believe the helicopter that Rick saw in the first episode of The Walking Dead, in the episode Days Gone By, when he comes to Atlanta and he sees a helicopter, I think that helicopter, it could be the one that the National Guard guys had, that the governor came across in season 3. Could have been their helicopter. That's one possibility. I think it was a CRM helicopter. And so if that's the case, they were around from the very beginning of the apocalypse, from the onset of the apocalypse. How are they prepared so quickly? How are they already ready for everything to come? It's possible that they are the ones who engineered the apocalypse. And if that is the case, if that is a revelation that we get in episode 6, that's crazy. I'm going to be floored if that's the case. Are they the ones who created the virus? Do they have a cure for the virus? Like, I don't know. That's a bit of a reach. That's probably the most exaggerated theory here, but I'm curious to see if that's the case. I'm also curious to see what characters might be possibly coming back. We got Father Gabriel in this episode. Is Morgan going to make an appearance in the finale? Are we going to lose anybody? Are we possibly going to lose Rick at the end of this season? I hope not. We just got him back. I don't want to be losing him so quickly. Is Michonne going to die? And now Rick's going to have to contend with that because he said she dies, he dies. He doesn't think he could ever make it beyond that. But maybe the fact that now he knows he has to get back to Judith, he's got RJ to meet. He's like, well, now I got a responsibility. I got to get back home, and I also got to warn people about the CRM. Is that a possibility? What happens here? Does Rick stay in the CRM? Does Michonne go back to Alexandria? Does Michonne die and Rick now has this mission on his own? Does Rick die and now Michonne's got to be the one to carry the mission forward, warn people in Alexandria and the Commonwealth? Really cool theories, really cool ideas tossed around here. And there's also this other theory that the first time we see Father Gabriel in the episode, that is actually not one of the flashbacks, but rather it is him seeing the helicopters possibly coming onto Alexandria and Alexandria getting attacked by the CRM. So that might be a flash forward rather than a flashback where Father Gabriel is concerned. If that's the case, I'm really interested to see where they're going to go with that. I don't think this is the last time we've seen his character. I do think we'll see him again. We're going to see many other characters from The Walking Dead again, whether it be in this show or Daryl Dixon or Dead City. University, or whatever other show they end up doing going forward in the future. I know I kind of jumped all over the place on this, but these are just my initial thoughts on episode 5. Just some things that I thought were really cool. I was really happy with this episode. It felt like classic Walking Dead. I love the confrontation with Jadis and with Rick and Michonne, and I think this was a beautiful end to the arc of Jadis, a character that I really didn't like at the beginning of the series of the first time we saw her in The Walking Dead, and a character that I also really didn't like throughout most of this show because of what she was doing to Rick and Michonne, but she was a great foil for them, and I think in the end, Father Gabriel was right. She wasn't Jadis, she's Anne, and Anne won out. Anne told the truth. She let Rick and Michonne know what they needed to know so that after she passed, they could accomplish their mission, they could win. She didn't want them to go after the CRM, but I think in her heart, she knew that's the way it was going to go. She knew that was the direction it was going to go. So I was really pleased to see the end of her character. Still not one of my favorite characters in the Walking Dead universe, but I thought it was a great end to her arc overall. With that, let's give this episode a ranking. I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5 or an A- on the letter scale. Guys, these episodes have been firing on all cylinders. They've been very good. I have enjoyed all of them up to this point, and I'm super excited to see the series finale of The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live, coming this Sunday to AMC Plus and AMC. I will be doing a recap and review of episode 6 next week, and also I will be doing a full recap and review. It'll be a compilation of the reviews that I've been doing, both the ones I've released and the ones I haven't. You'll notice I didn't do a recap and review for episode 3 or episode 4. I gotten behind in releasing my videos, so I got episode 1, episode 2 out. Episode 3 and episode 4, you're going to have to hear my thoughts on those when the full season compilation comes out later. So look forward to that. That's still going to be a fun video. It's going to have a lot of things that I wasn't able to talk about in these episodes. You're going to hear a lot of stuff you've already heard in the previous 2 videos that I put out, but you're going to be hearing some new stuff, some new thoughts that I have on the series overall as well. So I hope you look forward to that. That's going to be a fun thing to put together. It's going to be a beast of a video to get out there, but I'm really excited to work on it, continue to work on it. I'm still working on it as I'm getting these out to you as well. So with that, let me know what you thought of this episode of The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live, down in the comments below. Would love to hear your thoughts. I hope you all have an awesome and a fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next video.